Detroit, the next mayor of Detroit.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to read all the resume, but let's get into it. What qualifies you to be the mayor?
Well, as you said before, I have a transportation company that I started here in Detroit. Over the last 5 or 6 years, I've generated over $10 million in revenue. Um, I've hired hundreds of Detroiters, transported millions of students on a daily basis safely.
Safely,
Safely,
no issue.
no issues.
Okay. Because that's important. Because I'm like, that's good you're generating revenue, but I want to make sure these babies are safe,
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Just got through with a federal audit in regards to the transportation company. No fines, no violations.
Okay. So good to hear that. And you're a family man as well. You have children.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you understand some of the issues facing education wise
Oh
in
yeah.
our city.
Yes, big time. I get to see the education firsthand. I get to see the homelessness firsthand. I get to see the food problems and what families every day face firsthand.
So how do you do that firsthand? By being the owner of the company.
Yeah, by being the owner of the company, there was a quick little story. There was a young lady. I was driving a bus one day. A young lady, she just it was a bag of chips on the in a crate, and she stepped off the bus. Was like, "Mr. Boyd, is that your bag of chips?" I said, "Yeah, why?" She said, "I'm hungry." So I like gave her the bag of chips, and tear rolled down my eye. I called the school, said, "Hey," told them what happened. Went to the grocery store, bought the young lady family some groceries to help out, and also, told mom and dad, you need anything, let me know. But that's just a small piece of what we, see and deal with every day.
Okay. And so you are focusing on one of your focuses, one of the focus or part of your platform is people centered leadership.
Yes.
So how do you plan to bridge the gap between the community and the police? Because that is a huge thing still. I'm gonna be honest, even growing up myself, I never had a trust for Detroit
Yes.
police. I admire those who do it, but so how do you, as the mayor,
Uh,
plan to bridge that gap between the community?
digging into the community violence intervention program that we have, I think you take people like New Era Detroit. They're doing a phenomenal job helping with bridging the gap. I think we need to lean on organizations like that, more of the community organizations that are doing the work that are in the community. The other piece is, mental health is a real big issue. I think there should be a trained professional that goes out with mental health calls, not just police officers alone.
I'm glad to hear you say that. And that should be a requirement,
Yes,
really. And so tying into that also, what about at the Run the City forum? I heard a lot of talk about transportation.
yes,
And as someone who took the DOT myself, it disheartens me that transportation is still an issue in a city as large as Detroit.
yeah. And I'm a transportation guru.
Right. So how you
Transportation is my
like
specialty.
DOT how, and like this like are we can we look at some like cohesive partnership with smart and because it's just it seems or in just some type of the queue line is working in some aspects, but it's still not sufficient enough.
Yeah, it's the whole process is not efficient. The queue line runs down Woodward, and so do the buses. So you'll see a bus
Yeah.
driving around the queue line, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
So I think there's some more thought that needed to go into that program. We need a mass transit system, that connects all three counties. Uh, our senior citizens should be able to get to their appointments, whether it be dialysis, doctor's appointment, pay bills, and stuff like that. So we need to uh, bring a program together that brings, you just think about this. DPS, they spend about $40 million, right, on their transportation budget annually. Uh, DDOT spends a great deal of money as well. We can pull those resources together, and I believe that we can get everybody to where they need to go, but they need somebody who really knows how to do it.
Okay. And because you have the transportation company and you said that's been around how long?
Yeah, I've been doing transportation for about 15 years now.
Okay. And so prior to that, what was your background?
Uh, Prior to that, I was just doing little odds and ends jobs and stuff, taking care of the family. That was kind of about it. I grew up. My mother had a restaurant at a very young age, and I think it was an E-course on Biscayne Road. So that's kind of where I get my business acumen from.
Okay. And I also want to touch on um, that where you say build a school to prosperity pipeline,
Yeah.
because again, that ties in with having education. These are just basic, excuse me, transportation. These are basic services that our city has lacked on for decades. So I guess a lot of people want to know, as a write-in, how are you going to come in and change that?
So I was a product of a school to prison pipeline, and one of the things that I want to do is work closely with DPS, appoint a liaison to work with the school district. And I think we need to bring skilled trades in at middle school. Everybody's not destined for college. I know everybody like to say, "Oh, college this, college that." College is not everybody's thing. You know,
Yeah, we were just speaking about that, Terrence Wheeler and I, about some skilled trades and
yeah,
how you still need plumbers, you still need HVAC specialists, you still need electricians,
correct.
because 4 years of college, especially as much as it costs, is not for everyone.
Yeah, I pay mechanics to work on my school buses. $40 an hour. Even I buy a lot of commercial properties, and you want to bring some of the black business in there, some of the plumbers. It was black plumbers coming in where they didn't have no legs. They kids will pick them up and set them on the ground, let them do whatever they do with the pipe. The kid put them back in the truck, they cover it up. But it's not enough uh, of our kids digging into these opportunities: plumbing, HVAC, millworks.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what made you decide? What was the moment, Arnold? And so, I have a little fun uh, fact here, because I was thinking, I was like, has there ever been, how many people have been successful winning an election as a write-in? And I looked back, and ironically, in 2013, Mike Duggan
Yes,
was a write-in.
yes,
He
seven
won the
seven.
primary and then the general election
Yes,
from being a write-in.
yes.
So, do
So
you see yourself with a similar fate?
oh yes, I'm one of those people. I love seeing people excel at different things because it lets me know that I can do it. And it's been, as far as I know, two in the whole United States. It was a young lady in, I think, Anchorage, Alaska,
Mhm.
and Mike Duggan as well.
Mhm.
Um, and your other question was, why did I get into it? Is because, as a citizen of Detroit, I always wonder why, we elect people, right? We elect people, and the laws they make, it don't seem to help us, right? So it's like I want to give the people of Detroit a different option. Somebody who's been through some things, who's had some similar backgrounds to fellow Detroiters. We always vote for the people that have name recognition, career politicians, and basically they just slapping fires. Okay, it's your turn. Okay, it's your turn. And then the agenda is still the same. Even when you look at Detroit as a whole, right? Downtown is beautiful. But when you go in the inner cities, it's not being touched. It's spotty here and there where they're doing stuff like on Livernois, or is it Linden or Dexter over here?
Mhm.
But the community as a whole, the investment's not being made. There's a lot of infrastructure problems that are being overlooked. There's a lot of just basic city services.
And why do you think that is? What's lacking? What's the gap? You think it's relationships that need to be built with other entities that haven't happened, or
Yes, and I believe that there needs to be. It's almost like when you look at Detroit, it's like putting lipstick on a pig, right? It's still a pig.
mm.
We
I mean,
need
we
to
don't came a long way now.
where?
Uh.
Let me tell you where. From the boulevard to the
Yeah,
water,
yeah,
Lodge to 96.
yeah.
Anybody that lives outside of that zone
Mm,
shouldn't be voting for nobody that's currently in politics.
yeah.
I've been in the streets every day, and even I met a lady, 80 something years old. She just got a $1,800 blight ticket. Her husband changed some tires, sick, never went back outside, and four tires sitting in the car, and grass was on the back of her fence. She got an $1,800 ticket. Lady been in the house 57
Mm,
years. Why would you get this lady an $1,800 ticket?
right.
And I've seen this even with my own businesses where, BC has attacked me with $1,000 tickets, So I think that we need to make this election about the people. Even when it comes to investments, I don't want the special interest money. I want the money from the citizens. That's who I'm going to serve. A lot
So
of
it's yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
a lot of these some of these candidates, they taking, the special interest money, So who you think will win? The special interest, the people that's building the $1 billion buildings, or the
Mm,
the blue collar worker, or that's got the house that may be $100,000. They're gonna keep getting looked over.
right. So is this so and I'm glad you're aware of that, but because unfortunately, it's a lot of times that politics win over people.
Correct.
And that's where the distrust at times comes in, especially with our seniors. So, you have a project or a plan to protect seniors from losing their homes or getting those blight tickets.
Correct.
Can you give some details on that?
Yeah, so we go create a legal aid for the seniors. There was a senior citizen. I got a million stories. There was a senior citizen the other day. She owns two houses, no kids. Right, the neighbors trying to take the house from her, trying to put the lady in the home, and her basement flooded. Hot water tank went out. So a young lady that worked for me, her husband is an HVAC guy. He went over there. The furnace and HVAC and the hot water tank went out. He went over there. I bought the parts. He provided the labor. We was able to get the water out the house. Get these the heat and the water back up, and she was able to stay in her house. I feel like even the other day, um, me and Melanie and my team was out. Young lady had water in her basement, and it was really disheartening. It was mold in there. The water was dark and murky. The young lady had child was artistic, and when you walked in the house, you just smell the mold. In my administration, we not go sleep with nobody with waist high water and sitting in their basement. It just doesn't make any sense. We got to dig into where we came from. I've met so many people that's been in their houses even during the riots and stuff like that, and they just holding on. You know, I think we need to give the city of Detroit their flowers. We give Mike Duggan his flowers every day. Every day, all I hear is Mike Duggan this, Mike Duggan that. I want to hear the people of Detroit get their flowers. I want to hear about how they stayed during the pandemic. They stayed through a financial collapse. They stayed through non-city services. They stayed through a failing education, and they still here. So I think the city of Detroit, by voting for me, will get their flowers that they deserve.
So, and I really admire uh, that you're for the people and just wondering how i- in order to get those grants and to get those resources certain relationships need to be in place.
Correct. Correct.
So how do you feel you'll be able to leverage certain or access those relationships, because let's be honest, money talks. It's
Correct.
money is still needed, funding is still needed. So
Correct.
how will you be able to obtain that funding that needs to happen to where dot and DPS can partner for transportation? How are you going to make it
Oh,
so grandma's not getting that blight ticket, or
oh,
her,
yeah,
her
absolutely.
pavement will be fixed, or her lighting will be fixed? Like how will you make those things happen? What relationships will you be able to leverage?
So, as I said before, my company has generated over $10 million. So this didn't come, easy. This didn't come with, I've had banks uh, take loans away, because um, they've seen stuff in my past, half a million, $1 million loans. So I had to learn how to get creative. And the same thing I would do with this administration. I get creative. I could sit down in the office and talk to Donald Trump. I could sit down in the office and talk to Gretchen Whitmore, or John James, or hopefully Garland Chris Gilchrist.
Right.
So it's no problem. Business is business. And I coach a lot of small businesses. And one thing I always tell them, business is business. It's just the wrapper is always different based off of that business.
Okay. Okay. So speaking of loans being taken away because of your history, let's get into that. Let's shift a little bit and talk about how you have overcome some serious challenges, some serious life detours, and possibly they were for a purpose. So let's talk about that. You spent some time in prison,
Yes.
and so let's talk about that journey and
So basically, got involved with the organization. Wasn't a problem child. Wasn't a person that got in trouble often. I had lost a job. Basically, went to my brother and started working for an organization. Essentially, we was arrested and stuff like that.
And
Uh,
so can we name the organization?
yeah, I just don't name it because I don't glorify what they did.
Okay.
I was a part of the BMF organization, and I don't generally say the name other than the fact that I just don't glorify it. I don't think that what was
Because it's
done.
not fancy like the TV show.
Yeah,
It wasn't,
no, it
yeah.
was nothing like that. And we wasn't passing out turkeys and doing food drives or none of that
Mm.
kind of stuff. It was something
That was
that
the Hollywood touch on it, huh? That was the
correct.
Hollywood touch. Okay.
It was something that was really detrimental to the black community. It was some dark days. Like Detroit's had some dark days. It was some few dark days in my past. So
And so how long did you spend in prison?
I did. I had a year and a day sentence. I did 10 months, 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So so after how did the trajectory of your life change after that?
When I sat in prison, I asked God, why did I have to come here? Why did I make these decisions and stuff like that? And he said, man, he basically, said, I needed your attention.
Mm.
So I started getting more focused on exactly what my purpose was because I felt like my entire life I've been, running from my purpose. Even growing up, God used to give me visions that I was going to lead a people, so now I see everything I've been through, the heartache, the pain, the hunger, the head bumps and stuff like that. It was for a reason. It was to prepare me for today. So I'm ready for battle.
Okay, so I guess that could be part of advice that you would give someone who felt like their past may have disqualified them from making a difference. I'm glad that hasn't deterred you.
Yeah, it's real discouraging because like even when you got a prison, they just really just turn you loose. Anxiety. No therapy, no nothing. So I would like to definitely dig into our returning citizens to make sure that it's not a revolving door. A lot of these guys don't know that it's possible. You can vote, you can go out and get loans, you could be successful, you could be entrepreneurs. So I'm actually putting together a returning citizen expo. We're
Okay.
gonna have jobs, teach them how to fill out resumes and stuff.
Please, how to navigate the laptops.
How to
Because I have
navigate.
an uncle who, when he spent time in and he's come out, that's been one of the obstacles for him, like knowing how to work the computer because applications are online now. So giving them those skills, those tangible
Yeah,
skills.
and then a lot of those guys are hungry, but they don't have any direction. And then when they come home, a lot of their family members may not be entrepreneurs and stuff like that, or know where to go to get the resource. And there are actually a lot of resources out there in Detroit. One of the goals that I want to do is kind of bring those resources together. Even with Detroit as a whole, we need to bring resources together. Like even starting a business in Detroit it's nearly impossible. And I see people been saying it, and I seen that there was a press conference today talking about how they was gonna make doing business in Detroit easier. Business in Detroit is like almost impossible.
What are some of those things you see as impossible?
You know, uh, getting a building, getting a C of O. Uh, it's
Certificate of occupancy.
yeah,
Okay.
it's nearly impossible. And then especially if you got a building, own a building in an area that somebody wants, and it's almost like instead of them coming to purchase the building, they try to figure out a way to ticket you out the building, or
Mm.
make it uncomfortable for you. You know,
Mhm.
the Motor City Match, it's a horror story.
Mm.
Horror story. I know it's people that get it, but it's a lot of people that don't get it. They just make it too hard.
Okay, because I've seen a lot of people who seem like they have been successful with it. So, what are some? How would you change the program?
I simplify the program. Like even a business like myself, like for the mom and pops, like if you coming out your kitchen or something like that, it's a great program. But if you have a company like mine that's doing, 2, 3, $4 million a year, there's no help. There's no help. They look at you like you're crazy. There are some incubators that are out there that are helping
Right,
people.
like Black Tech
Right.
Saturdays.
Them,
Okay,
them
yeah.
guys are them guys are doing a great job. They're doing a phenomenal job. Even there's some program, even like the movie industry. Like, I like going to the movies every week,
Right,
right?
yeah,
I like going to the movies every week. Times of the Shoe Lady,
right,
Rocki, all them guys, man, they
right.
doing Beezy, man,
Are
they
there
doing
some incentives you would put in place to? I
oh,
think they're trying to
absolutely.
put some legislation in place to bring the movie industry back, or the excuse me, the credits or the incentives for
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I think Governor Rick Snyder is the one took it away. You remember we was going to get a
Yeah.
big structure there in Allen Park, and when he removed the tax incentive, it went away. And I think
So as mayor, you would help work
oh
towards
yeah,
that?
absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I think the movie industry, the tech industry, they're all it's tomorrow. We got to invest in that stuff. You think about it. You go to the movies, it's almost like, man, did Hollywood take a year off or something? It's like
Yeah.
they're not even turning out movies, but you can go on Tubi, like Detroit is turning out movies on a regular basis. You
Yeah.
know,
Streaming, I think, is taking over.
yeah,
Definitely taking over. So you're a father. You
yeah.
have children. Are you married as well?
No, I'm divorced. I have a girlfriend. Me
Okay.
and my ex-wife, we're really good friends and stuff. We co-parent.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So okay now. All right, ladies. He got a girlfriend now. I tried.
yeah.
I always have to
And
ask.
she's listening.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, girlfriend. I'm married, by the way. I was just asking, but inquiring minds wants to know.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But let's shift a little bit. Since this is May is Mental Health Awareness Month, you got a heavy task ahead of you, and hats off to you.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
let me give you your flowers for because as a lifelong Detroit citizen, it is so many layers to what our city offers and what our city needs. So I commend you for being willing to take on the task. And listen, God willing, you will be successful because it is. And I kind of said this when this election started. I said it seemed like everybody is throwing their hat in. So what was that moment where you were like, I'm about to do this? I need
You
to
know,
step in. I need to throw my hat in here.
I looked at
What was that pivotal moment when you were like, you decided I'm gonna be a write-in candidate?
man, I looked at the candidates, right? And I looked at, there's a candidate there that's been on she's been in city council for some time, and she has all these great ideas. But it's like you've been on the city council 12 years. Why all the great ideas now? You know,
So you
uh,
haven't seen anything executed. I think it's
no,
like two though. I think
yeah, one
three.
of them, one
There's
of
a
them,
few.
I think
Yeah.
4 or 5 years, but one of them like 12 years. But it's like I want to see some real change. I want to see something. I want to leave something behind, right? More than Detroit. Think about this, right? How many single family homes you think was built last year in this big 100 and almost 40-mile city? How many single family
Mm,
homes? I know you hear a lot about affordable housing.
mhm.
They inflate the numbers. Oh, it's been $1 billion. How many single family home permits were pulled last year in the city of Detroit?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
5,000.
Seven.
Mm.
Seven. So how are
So
you?
that means a home that was built from the ground up.
Yes, one for one
So
family,
not a multi-unit,
not
you're
a
saying. Okay.
multi-unit. One family, seven. So then you try to figure out like the tax problem. Why the city of Detroit is being taxed the way they are? We need to build 100,000
For
homes.
tax for subpar services, by the
Correct,
way.
correct.
Right.
We need to build 100,000 plus homes immediately, single family
To help
homes.
combat the
To
homelessness.
help combat the
'Cause yeah.
homelessness, right? Now we can work with the tax structure as opposed regarding how the homes are taxed and stuff like that, the property tax. I think the people that's been here 50 years, you shouldn't even be paying taxes on your like. When did
Mm,
you ever own this house?
right.
You 50
Yeah.
years in, and
Yeah.
you can still possibly lose this house after you don't pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
And 50 years, right? Eric Sabri is selling 26,000 properties a year almost.
Ooh,
I always laugh when
that's
people like
terrible.
buying back the block. I'm excited that you are, but you can't compete when this man is auctioning off 26,000 homes a year around the world.
Okay, but say like the houses are built, Arnold. It's still a lot of red tape to get into the home. How
Correct.
do we help people who are not familiar with buying a home? I don't know anything about mortgage and escrow. I'm not educated about that. I just, especially a lot of people who come from, I'm just paying rent to a landlord. I don't know anything about getting a home built from the ground up, or how do I qualify? Where's the gap? We need it. It's a gap there to with
Yeah.
educating people how to get into the home once it's built.
Yeah. So we need to streamline the process, right? We need to make it simpler. We need to partner with your Josh Doyle homes, your Cambridge homes, and stuff like that. Build homes that are equal in value to the homes that are already there. Number one, because a lot of times, you take Dearborn for instance, they got these big monstrosities of homes, right? And then the little smaller homes, you be like, how's this home worth 500,000, 1,200 square feet? So what I would do is partner with these guys, build homes that are similar in value to the homes that's already there. Put together a program to where you can step in and we building these homes for you. Me, I would land bank got to go in my administration. We go rehab land bank. Uh, we're going to bring home ownership back to Detroit. You think about this, right? There are a lot of people moving downtown Detroit, right? Younger people.
Mm,
Soon as they decide they want to build a family, they move out the city.
mm,
Why? Because we got, you know, and I say this, and I don't like to say it, but our education system not where it's supposed to be.
no.
Our city services not where it's supposed to be. Our public safety is not where it's supposed to be. What are our selling features? We go live downtown forever,
And the weather.
and the weather. So
But I guess for me too, I'm glad that we have made some progress. So
yeah,
what are some things that you are glad are in place?
uh, downtown is great. It brings business in, right? And I think that's a great piece. We had the NFL draft this weekend. We have uh, Formula cars racing throughout downtown. I think that's all great stuff. Me, I would like to see some of these investments, right? These big buildings go up. There's an arm that makes an investment in the community, right? Um, think about this, right? Mark Savea, right? And I only know his name because he had billboards all the way around,
Mm,
right? Bud and Lee, Bud and Lee. Mark Savea owned a grocery store on Livernois and Linden, a grocery store that was there for 40 plus years,
mm.
right? He chose to close the grocery store because the profit margin for Bud and Leaf on the side of the building was a lot greater.
Mm.
So he closed the grocery store that served his community for 40 plus years. There are districts out there within the city of Detroit don't have a grocery store, right? I was on the east side talking to some seniors. I was in there 4 or 5 hours. Never seen one squad car. Never. I'm walking down the street. Matter of fact, we was riding an all terrain vehicle on the sidewalk in the street. Police never came. So we need to enforce a couple things. One is we need to incentivize.
Wait, but I asked you what you like about the city. What that are some good things you feel are going well?
Good things I think are going well is I like the fact that there's new construction going up. There's a new residence that's went up down in the city. I love the city. I love the people. Um, Everything that I could say that I like is really essentially happening downtown. Now you
Mm.
do have
I mean, we
John.
got some pockets like Six Mile and
I'm
Livernois
finna
has
say it right
yeah,
now. I'm
yeah,
finna say it like John George. A lot of
yeah.
people don't know him.
Kirchhoff and Van Dyke. There's some areas that
Yeah,
are
yeah, but they're pockets, just like
yeah,
you just said, pockets.
pockets. Yeah.
Now John George, he's a guy over on Grand River and Lasher, right? Just met this guy,
Yeah.
right?
That's another area. Yeah.
This guy is he don't look like us, but he lives in the neighborhood. He's spending millions of dollars in the neighborhood, and he actually has a affordable housing unit where 2 bedroom is 550.
Yeah.
Now I know I hear, affordable housing this, affordable housing that, and I go and it be 1,500, 1,800. Who is that affordable for?
Mm.
There's some things that we got, even with this new next governor's race, right? I'm sorry, I'm jumping off, but even with the next governor's race, we got to tell the next governor we need you to do something about car insurance.
Please.
I just
Please.
I moved my pickup truck
Ugh,
to my address in Detroit, $900 a
it's
month.
ridiculous.
So I can imagine
Ridiculous.
somebody who don't make the money that I make, how much of an impact that is for them.
But what about jobs? And now people, a lot of people are working from home. What about opportunities as far as that, as far as producing more jobs so people can have the certain income?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the working from home. You know,
You think we all need to be back in
I
office,
think
huh?
you need to be back
Okay.
in the office.
All right.
So I know you're gonna want to shut that down, but I like to see
No,
people.
I do miss going into the office though. I do feel like seeing people in person does foster cohesiveness. I do. I agree with that.
Yeah, it's like even like you think about the kids, they'll play a video game that play basketball, but won't go outside and play
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah,
We getting to the point where we don't even want to talk to nobody no more. We just
yeah.
want to deal with our devices.
Uh,
One thing I love about Detroit, and I really want to dig into, is the community of Detroit. That's the best thing I love. The people of Detroit. You know,
So reopening some more rec centers because I
yeah,
see the Coleman Young Center just reopened. We need to reopen and keep revitalizing some of these playgrounds too.
correct.
That's what I see
You know,
with basketball courts.
one of my goals is I want to see a rec center like Romulus Rec, Livonia Rec. Wow,
Yes,
we should
with the
have
swimming
several of
pool
those.
and the whole
The
shebang.
whole
Yes,
shebang. The
yes,
whole shebang. I think that every district should have one of those.
yeah.
You know, even thinking about city services. My big brother Frank, is somebody broke into his mom's house. His mom is elderly, 70+ years old. Man put his hands on her. Ran in the basement, ran out the house, put his hands on her again. The police picked the man up. No detective has contacted her. You know, Nobody from the precinct has contacted her. But we need to protect, our senior citizens. So I just want to make sure I get that out and say that.
Yeah,
We got to
yeah.
make sure we protect our people. We got to get Detroit. Man, Detroit has been through a lot.
Right. We traumatized. So I
Yeah,
hope you can make a difference. Definitely.
I
Because
will.
there's so many you will let's right. Let's claim it.
Yeah, I
Let's
will.
claim it. So let's and wrapping it up, what is your first 100 days in office once you get elected? What would that look like?
First 100 days in office, I'm giving a stipend to the DPS. We go start the drone program. There's a lot of communities around us that's doing great work with the drones. I'm going to audit the water department. I'm going to audit
Mm,
the building and safety department.
yes, please.
So it's some things that we go clean house first. We
Mm,
go get rid of the riffraff. We go get rid of the overages, and we go get to building the community from infrastructure out.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah, because we still we shouldn't have some of the pipes bursting and things that what happened in Southwest and I think that's still being cleaned
And
up.
they, and
That's
they, and that's the
ridiculous.
thing. They knew about it. It's another example. We're going to be releasing a video here real soon. The young lady, I call her young lady. She was 80 something years old. She got an $1,800 blight ticket. Right. There's a crater in her alley that you could put a 2-car garage in. Okay. I stood in the crater and took a picture so people could understand. And I'm 6'6", so people could understand the depth and the size of it. And what's happening is on the east side, um, even the director of the water department, I can't think of his name right offhand. He said those people should move out of those areas
Because the water is contaminated or what?
because
Because
the sewer lines are failing. And so there,
oh
I
Lord.
have photos of sewer lines that are caving in. And so what they do is they send the back truck out and they punching water through it. And all that's happening is the dirt on above it is just falling into the pipe, and it's creating craters all over the east side of Detroit. So we got to get into that infrastructure and build that infrastructure out. Um, you know, First and foremost, infrastructure.
Right. And I guess we'll be under construction with these roads forever, Jesus, because it's craters all over the city that I'm dodging, even
Yeah,
in the burbs too. But that's I know you can't do it all, Arnold. I
yeah,
can't. So I commend you again. And where can people find you? Where can they any events coming up for you? Where people can meet you? Any town halls?
yeah. We got some stuff listed on our website. I don't have it in front of me. My website is www.arnoldboyd.com. ARNOLDBOYD.com. Instagram and Facebook is the Arnold Boyd, TheArnoldBoyd.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I was just pausing to see if you had something else you
Oh
were
no,
gonna
that's
add
it.
to it.
That's it. I'm excited. I'm excited to get out in the field, and I want to say this. As it regards to being a write-in candidate, there's some forums going on around in the city. Even with the news, and I want to say this to all the forums, to all the cities. I don't care who the candidate is. I don't care if he's a write-in. I don't care if he got 1% of the vote. Give him an opportunity to talk.
Right,
All
because I
too
was gonna
often,
see if you were gonna be involved in some forums coming up. Hopefully
oh,
you will
they
be.
trying to keep me out. They tried to keep me off the ballot. They trying to
Uh-oh.
keep me out the forums. They don't even want me to put a table in there. But
When you say they, who do you mean?
the other candidates, they come together. that's probably the only thing they come together for, to try to keep me off the forums. But it's okay because I'm going door to door. I'm talking to all the people that are all the voters and making sure they know who I am. Today I was in the Ham Palace and
Mhm.
was talking to people in there. Man, they was like, "Oh man, you a breath of fresh air." Just talking to them about some
Mm.
of the policies and stuff I'm running on, and some of the stuff that we want to change and see different here in the city of Detroit. And I want everybody to know if they don't get anything else, I'm a candidate for the people,
All right. All right. All the people, because it's
all
a
the
lot of
people,
people
all the
in
people.
Detroit, and we need to get our numbers up. Because census wise, we don't even have 1,000,000.
You think about this, even when it comes to the census, right? Even when it comes to the insurance, even when it comes to lower voter turnout, think about this. There's probably 100,000 voters in Detroit that can't vote in Detroit because they got their address at their mom or dad's house so they can have insurance on their vehicle.
Oh yes.
70,000 out of
Yeah.
possible 650,000 or so votes.
Yeah.
But I
And,
think,
or and people also just don't feel like their vote matters, or
yeah,
that it's gonna that I think it's still a lot of distrust with, once we vote for you, are you really gonna do what you say you're gonna do?
correct. And that's why I'm in this race.
Okay. All right. I don't know. We're gonna see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was good meeting you.
Good meeting you as well.
And this is not goodbye. This is see
See
you
you
next
later.
time. See you later. So feel free to come back. And it was great having you on.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.